for our next session. I'm super excited about this. There's some great work that Snipes is doing with Cordial, and I know Jenna, and I've known Jenna for a long, long time, so I'm excited to hear the work, and I think we'll learn a lot from the session. So I'd like to introduce Jenna Flateman Posner. She's the CDO at Snipes. Joe Shoemaker, who's the Director of Digital at Snipes, Digital Performance at Snipes, and Rhon Bell, who's the Director of CRM Strategy at Cordial. I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. Jenna and Joe, thank you guys for being on stage today with me. Before we jump in, Jenna, can you tell us a little bit about Snipes?
Sure, absolutely. So Snipes is a global sneaker and streetwear retailer. We were founded in Germany in 1998, came to the US by way of acquisition in early 2019, and we have just hit the ground running. We've got over 300 stores in the US now. We've 10x digital over the past 4 years. We sling sneakers, right? Hype, Nike, Jordan, Adi, Puma. We're akin to a Finish Line or a Foot Locker, only better. Very dedicated to the communities that we serve, and excited to talk you through our Cordial journey today.
Cool. Let's jump in. So cross-channel communication. What makes for an effective strategy at Snipes particularly, and what does that mean to you guys, and what channels are you currently engaged in the cross-channel overarching strategy that you've built out?
Yeah, I'd say, I'll go big picture?
Sure.
Yeah, okay. So I'd say big picture, I mean, we all know this, right? Meet our customers where they are. Takes a number of touches in order for consumers to really convert, and so we've kind of got to be everywhere. So our perspective is having a unified approach to how we engage with our customers, collect their data, and utilize that data to communicate in an outbound fashion is super paramount.
Yeah, I think it's all about capturing, shortening attention spans, honestly. So just meeting customers across many different channels. So we are, started in email within the last couple of years, have launched our app and a pretty sophisticated SMS program. And we really think a lot of the storytelling we do on our homepages too, and the landing pages just continues that conversation.
Absolutely. You mentioned the app. What is really the hook for a customer? Why would they want to download your app?
Yeah, so as Jenna mentioned, we have 300 stores, and like a lot of our business, our product and our Hype product is a hook for a lot of our business. So we made the decision to run our raffles for those stores in our app, and that's really what got us on our customers' phones in the first place. And then from there, we've expanded that to do products exclusives within the app and special offers, as well as things like scavenger hunts and things to just engage the consumer there.
Everyone know what a sneaker raffle is? Yeah, it's pretty intense, right? This is consumers that aren't just like putting their name in the hat and winning something for free. They're actually winning the right to buy the shoe at full price. It seems kind of ridiculous, right? But for us, it's a really great hook because consumers have to share their data. We require an opt-in, and it gives us a great opportunity to better serve our consumers and understand them. So the app is the place for that.
I love that. When we look at our clients at Cordial, those who are able to move from an email-based client or a brand into the category of push messaging, exactly what you're saying. Like we've actually seen engagement increase over 200% with those brands who are able to build this broader customer journey that you're touching them where they're at, right? And I think when you move on from not only is it engagement, but it's also how much they spend with you, right? Like whether it's your shoe drop or it's these in-store events, right? It feels personal, so they actually spend more. So subscriber value, we see it increase across our clients by 51%. I would assume you guys see something similar too, right? Like there's success here. There's a reason why you're pushing into the app and these meaningful strategies.
Yeah, I think push, when we talk about the content and the times when we're reaching out to customers, I think it's probably a little more akin to our SMS channels in terms of just the amount you're able to communicate within those push messages. But as you said, and as you see in the data, we know the people that have our app downloaded and are receiving notifications from us, it's a smaller group of much more highly engaged consumers. So, this data definitely doesn't surprise me to see those customers be more valuable.
The obvious data that you also see in the app is more time spent, higher AOV, right? All the KPIs that you'd anticipate in the app are actually absolutely crushing, and I think it's due to the fact that we get so heavily focused on creating a web environment that's really focused on the conversion. When you've got a native mobile app, you can really focus on the experience. You can create a place to play and drive loyalty and engagement that can host content in a way that I think seems to appear to get in the way of a commerce-driven experience. And so, for us, the app's been a great place to play, and we use outbound communications in order to drive that engagement and drive those consumers back into the app intentionally.
Obviously, we're not talking about it a lot today, but personalized email is kind of the foundation of any good marketing program. You have the app, you're driving to in-store, you have your awesome raffles that you're doing, layer on top of that SMS, right? So impactful channel, obviously. What are some of the strategies here today that we could take notes on, perhaps, as to what is working for Snipes when it comes to SMS?
Sure, I'll start us off. I mean, I really think about our SMS program around two key kind of pillars. The first is affordability. So this is nothing new, right? Highlighting our promotions, highlighting things. We have had a lot of success with like daily deal type communication. So putting some time restraints around a lot of our deals has done really well, and identifying specific products that we have the merchandising, or we have the knowledge of, that we have a lot of depth in and are still good margin for us. So that's been a really successful strategy. And the other side of that is exclusivity. So I talked about in-demand product. We have an entire sneaker community who is online Saturdays at 10 a.m. showing up for specific shoes. So to be able to tap into that market and let people know that we have their size available and they can add it right to their cart at 10:30 has been just a consistent winner for us.
Just a highly personalized communication channel.
Absolutely.
I think the trick too is finding your hook, right? A lot of retailers will launch SMS channels and just communicate and share communication that they think their consumers want to know. But if you don't really find your hook, you don't earn the right to testing and learning, right? A lot of consumers will just be overwhelmed with the communication or won't be contextualized enough. We have the benefit of having this high demand, low quantity product that consumers will kind of put up with us testing and learning. They'll put up with the communicating. They'll put up with us testing to see if promotions are going to be a driver because they want to know when the shoe drops. And so I would urge all of you to think, what is the essential information? What is the essential information that these consumers need to receive from me? And how do I really focus in and hone in on the channel that I'm only solely going to communicate that information in? Because that will keep consumers engaged, it'll keep them from opting out, and it'll allow you to retain them long term.
I love that. I think it's a pretty good, we didn't rehearse this, but move into like the next slide. So when you're taking your program into this very much structured test and learn approach to understand like what is the best in class way to communicate to these customers who love your brand, when you find the right way to communicate with them, we do see our clients actually increase subscriber value up to 18 times. The number sounds a little wild, but when you're communicating in the most personal way possible with the consumer, they feel it. They feel that personal touch from your brand, right? Key takeaways here, like let's just riff on some of these for a little bit. Like using customer data to really create these meaningful moments. Feels like we've talked a little bit about that. I feel like that's core as to what we do day to day, right? Whether it's email, SMS, app. It's like how do we use the most of our data across the board?
Yeah, not to go full on Cordial sales pitch, but I will say that it's been really refreshing working with, I can't even really call an ESP provider. There's really a core need to centralize data and utilize that data to make sure that you're communicating with your customers in context of who they are. It's not always possible to have the whole picture. So even being able to leverage things like location or demographic data to make those customers feel known can really push them into a journey that's ultimately going to get them to the next best outcome.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. With engagement and demand, we've talked about that. We see an increase with cross-channel push to really connect with those customers one-to-one. But I know, Joe, when it goes beyond email to deepen that customer relationship, it's something that's pretty core to what you've built in your program, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I think you look at differentiation in your messaging strategy for what is the campaign that you're trying to communicate or the message that you're trying to get to your customer. But I also think you have to put yourself up against the 10, 20, 30 other brands that are in your consumer's inbox and not just be someone who's consistently trying to sell a product specifically, right? So like our hook and what we invest a lot in as a brand is a lot of in-person activations and a lot of brand marketing and community-based events. So to be able to like bring that type of content to our SMS list and invite people out to tangible, real events to engage with our Snipes brand is one way that we try and differentiate our communication strategy. So there's no better representation of the Snipes brand than at an event. So it's really more of like a long-term play to increase that value.
It's a great strategy for early on in the customer journey as well, because you might not have a ton of data on this consumer yet. You might not know maybe they haven't converted yet. Maybe you don't know, what their preferences might be, but you do know physically where they are. So the way that we've been utilizing our local events and localization in general is to provide contextualized communication so those customers do have a sense of feeling known. Yeah. And we've seen conversion spike as a result.
And obviously, as you learn more about those customers, to point 4, you're able to personalize those messages to a greater degree. I would assume as you are branching out into these multiple channels of communication with SMS and app, it almost requires more personalization. Like you can't blast a non-personalized message to a very personal device, right? Is that something that you guys keep in mind with your messages that you build?
Yeah, I think, the most tangible, example of that I have would be in our post-purchase journeys that we're, really been expanding on this year. So being able to deliver the apparel fit that goes with the release shoe that just came out last week as a follow-up message to the lucky people who got the shoe. And working with like shop to look add-ons and things like that is something that I think is our way of pushing in the personalization space.
I love that. Thinking about working with the right partner kind of leads into the last question, but you've come a long way. Like you have a lot in market right now to be able to touch customers at different points in the journey. Clearly you're not done. What's next?
Automation. I don't know if you guys have experienced this, but 10x ROI in automation, less hands-on keys, more throughput. So more use cases, more data sharing, more activation, and less lift in order to enable these communications to come out and drive value. I think that more centralization of data is really imperative as well. The way that we're set up actually is we've got Service Cloud as our hub of customer data. And so this is actually, I think, pretty interesting. We've done 2 things. One is all of our e-commerce transaction data is coming into Service Cloud. All of our store data, all of our store transactions that are associated with an email, like someone that's either identified themselves or asked for an e-receipt, all that store data comes in, it gets cleansed, it gets merged, and then it gets pumped out to Cordial. So Cordial can now leverage context like not only what did they buy, but where did they buy, where haven't they bought, and how through the lens of understanding more about customer value, do we set up this automated communication and get them each to the next best outcome? And so that is, we've got a really good framework for that. The data is available for that. We've had some really good use cases, but I want to light that on fire, like in the good way.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, technical integrations to enable the cool stuff that we talk about on a daily basis and want to do and then run into a roadblock, right? Like, the low-hanging fruit, just being fully transparent about our app pushes, the reason that it's grown so much year over year is because we enabled deep linking and we weren't just sending people to the homepage of the app. We were creating more personalized messages and able to drive people deeper into the app. And that's obviously a pretty simplified example of those technical integrations. But if you take that from working with our commerce platform and Cordial to drive, that's what's powering those post-purchase journeys. So. It's always important to keep that in mind.
So more data, more personalization, more testing and learning.
And you're like, I love all of this. This means we're going to be sending lots of messages. I think what comes along with this as well is getting really targeted and segmented, right? Mm-hmm. These systems, these tools, these technologies become very, very expensive, right? We all know SMS is super expensive. The ROI is really high. That's great. That makes it kind of defensible. But the bigger we get and the more acquisition that we have, the more expensive these solutions are going to become. And so segmentation and making sure that you're really paring down these communications to the right customer segment at the right time is going to be really, really crucial. So having a partner that can either build the tech to do it via AI or other, or having resources like Rhon who can actually help you build custom segments, like hands-on, is really, really important. Just to make sure from a bottom line perspective that we're efficient with our spends.
From a cost efficiency, and then like we've talked about from a personalization perspective, as you're building these custom audiences with the right product at the right time, it just feels like you know your customer inside and out, right? It feels like a relevant message from a brand they love, and at the heart of it, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
The other thing I'd add that, what's next, obviously you see the value in having everyone subscribe to all 3 of your channels, right? You see the lift in revenue, but that's not often how it plays out in terms of how they first engage with the brand. Maybe they sign up for your email program. So We've been trying to think about our list growth as not just external new customers, but also expanding our SMS list from our engaged email subscribers. So in those releases, having the ability to text to join our SMS messaging, our release emails, things like that, get us a little stickier, I guess, across those channels and drive more engaged users.
I have a lot of clients right now asking, what is the best way to drive cross-channel acquisition? So if they have email, what is the best way to pull them into the app? What is the best way to pull them from the app into SMS, right? And it's all about how do you really message at the right time and grow the overall circle of people that you're talking to on a daily basis or a weekly basis. Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you guys for joining us on stage.
Yeah.